Hey guys, Brian from TennisMindCamp. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever been in a match against an opponent who wasn't necessarily a power monger, meaning he didn't like to hit the ball very hard, but his style of play really kept you off balance and made you rush? If so, great news. No, not great news that you were off balance and you were rushing. Great news that I have a solution for your problem. Okay, so listen up. One of the biggest reasons why your opponent is making you feel so uncomfortable is most likely due to his ability to hit the ball on the rise. And hit it on the rise efficiently, effectively, and of course, as we say in tennis each and every day, consistently. Okay? Now, how is that? Why does this make you feel so rushed? Let's get into this tip and we'll uncover the mystery.
Is your opponent making you feel rushed? If so, he or she hitting the ball on the rise is probably one of the biggest reasons why you feel so uncomfortable. And as the famous quote says, success imitates success. So if you want to make your opponent feel uncomfortable without having to put more on your strokes and widen your margin for error at the same time, then I suggest you start doing it too. Now, just in case you're unfamiliar with the term, hitting the ball on the rise, it simply means that you strike the ball when it's on its way upward from the court surface or as soon as the ball reaches its peak or the apex. Now, whichever perspective sounds the best to you, the goal is exactly the same. You're doing whatever it takes to hit the ball before gravity starts to bring it down. By catching the ball on the upswing, you'll be snatching a ton of setup and recovery time away from your opponent, as well as getting off a much cleaner shot. Now let me tell you, this is a great strategy to keep your opponent on the defensive end, especially if they're slow to begin with and don't have incredibly fast reflexes or footwork. To them, it'll feel like your shots are coming twice as fast and twice as hard, which is sure to keep them off balance. They will definitely feel the effects of it right away, and that's the truth. And you know what's great is, you won't have to swing any faster or exert any more power or energy to make your opponent feel it. All you have to do is catch the ball sooner. Now, if you've been experiencing problems attempting to execute this strategy and you find yourself catching the ball when it's already started on its descent, it's probably due to these two main reasons. Now, the first problem is that I see and I hear so many players out there approach every ball the exact same way. Now, the reason they do that is they feel that that will help put them in a groove. But that's the wrong way of thinking. If you don't change your approach when you're given a different circumstance, you're bound to see some errors. The fact of the matter is that no ball you're faced with is going to come at you the exact same way. None. N-O-N-E. None. They all follow different trajectories and are generated by varying amounts of pace and are coming at a variety of very hard to reach angles and spin types. You need, and I repeat, you need to exercise different setup and positioning tactics for different situations. You need to analyze the ball's trajectory, angle, and tempo to make the proper adjustments. Now, the second problem that I see across the board is players exerting a passive attitude. You know, the I'll just let the ball come to me mindset. Now, this can be a huge reason why you're not able to get there in time and reap the benefits of catching the ball as it's coming up. Indirectly, you're lazy, whether you know it or not. Now, if you feel like you may be suffering from either of these two, the ball is sure to end up dropping low and beneath your ideal strike zone. And as a result of that, you're going to have to hit the ball as it's coming down. And then what happens? Exactly, you'll have to open up the racket face to try to get and generate some extra lift. Then, if you want any chance at getting any offensive firepower on your ball at all, then you have to work 5 times harder to get off a last-second prayer. And you're going to have to contort your body in awkward positions just to make good contact. And most of the times, no matter if you get on your knees and cross your hands and hold them extra tight, your prayer will not be answered. You'll usually miss hit or quote-unquote shank a lot more balls while trying to get in that position, especially if you're dipping your shots in a deep dish of heavy topspin. Oh, but you will get your wish of some added airtime though. So, combined with that added force, late preparation, and the face of the racket already pointing to the sky, you'll end up popping the ball high in the air. Your ball will take flight and fly right over the fence. Sound familiar? And if that wasn't enough, you'll also be giving your opponent the gift of added prep time, which will allow him to produce an even more effective shot, coming back to you. Now the problem with this is it oftentimes turns into a vicious cycle and will continue to happen unless you do something to change it. So, to prevent this from happening to you and getting wrapped up and tangled into the circle of terror, or cycle of terror, you have to change your mental perspective. You have to change your mental perspective. Did you hear me? You have to change your mental perspective. You want to have an active mindset. Okay, not that passive stuff. Don't relax. Okay, don't wait on it. Be aggressive. All right, go to the ball. To the ball. Go after it. I'm telling you, just by changing the core of your thinking or thought process, it'll almost seem magical. They're going to start calling you Disney. Why? Because you're automatically going to find yourself in a much better position. You'll get to the ball much sooner and find it much easier to take the ball at its peak while generating much better contact. Not only that, but you'll also feel a lot more fluid when executing your shot. Okay, and you'll be able to recover for the next one a heck of a lot sooner. Oh, and notice, when you execute the active mindset properly, you'll see that the face of your racket is going to be closed and not open or tilted up like before. By having a closed racket face, you'll be able to hit the ball with a lot more pace and power, and you won't have to worry about it sailing over the fence on you. Okay, the ball will stay in the court and you'll have a lot more control. This will ultimately change what would have been a vicious cycle of pop-ups, lookouts, body jolts, jagged court movement, and weak returns into a beautiful one comprised of effortless movement and easily executed shots and technique. Now, warning, if you try that active mindset and you're a little slow at first, don't worry, don't panic. Okay, it's not game 7 with 3 seconds left and Ron Artest is on the 3-point line. Or Pau Gasol. It's not going to come right away. It's going to take a little time to get used to it and become consistent at it. Now, an excellent way for you to become proficient in the rising phenomenon is to practice it. Now, an excellent way for you to become proficient in the rising phenomenon is to practice it. And a great way for you to do that and to cut the time for you to see results in half is by hitting against a wall or backboard. After the many repetitions of going after the ball with an active or killer instinct over and over and over and over again, you'll be able to ingrain everything it takes to make it work. All the movement, all the footwork, those will start to sink in deep into your muscles and your mind, so you won't have to think twice about doing it. And that's not all. Hitting against a backboard will also help with possible problem number 1, in that the backboard will give you tons of wacky, crazy balls to hit. This is great, because why? Like I talked about before, no ball is going to come to you the same way. Okay, just like you'd see in a real match. You'll be forced to react on the fly without being able to cheat like you can easily do with a ball machine. Now, while it may appear mundane and simplistic, it's highly efficient. Hey, not everything has to be hard and strenuous to produce results for you. Oh, and a bonus of you practicing on your own is that you can stroll onto the court and surprise your hitting buddies with your new heightened game. Give them an extra 6-0 in their stocking this year. Alright guys, thanks for watching. For more tennis tips, tricks, and strategies, head over to TennisMindCamp.com/blog. And for 18 hours of free tennis instruction, kick butt tennis secrets, that'll have you crushing your opponents out there, head over to TennisMindCamp.com/course.